Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are joined today by Logan Creed. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all?
We're good, man. Thanks for joining us. I say that we won't keep you long. You're traveling to a show. We can see you in your car. I mean,
he's a busy man.
He's a busy man.
That's a good thing, man. Especially now, man. It's been, we spent a long time kind of sitting around waiting to see what was going to happen, and but shows are starting to pick up again, and it's fans are coming out, so it's good.
How is it for you at the moment then? I know shows haven't been as often as usual, but what's it like for you now shows are starting up again? It must be a good feeling.
No, it's a great feeling. Like I said, it was for a long time. I think nobody really knew what was going to happen, and we just good, stayed in shape, and focused on. I took the time to heal because I had been running a pretty busy schedule for a long time. It was good in a way. I got to spend some time at home with the kids.
Yeah.
So that was good, but now I'm at that point where I'm itching to be back on the road all the time. Obviously, as you can see, it's going to pick back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's good. Listen, we've not had a show over here in the UK since around March last year, so we're chomping at the bits over here, man. So it's good that things are starting to happen, and shows are starting to happen back over there. So fingers crossed we'll get it over here at some point.
No, yeah, sure. And that's probably why you guys are doing better with the pandemic than we are, because you get shut down and everything. So we haven't been so.
Yeah, America's a much bigger country though, dude. Like, the UK is tiny compared to America, so I imagine it is just harder over there anyway to manage the whole situation. But like you said, you're on your way to a show now. Can you tell us anything about the show you're going to?
Yeah, it's Old School Championship Wrestling, OSCW. They run out of Charleston, South Carolina. It's just like the name says, it's an old school feel show. Got Davey Boy Smith Jr. on the card today. Myself, John Schuyler, Cisco Chiazzo, who I think was a guest of y'all before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a still show. They run once every 2 or 3 months, and they always have a pretty decent card, and it draws a nice little crowd here.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned it to us. I can't remember who it was. We spoke to somebody before, and they mentioned Old School Wrestling. It's a company that I want to check out, so I'll definitely be having a look. I did want to talk to you as well, though, about Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Obviously, you was the world champion there, defeating Cody Hall. What was that like? I mean, winning the world title for a company, wrestling Cody as well. I mean, what was that like?
Man, that was so, that was such a weird time not a weird time, but honestly, that was 5 or 6 years ago. I stepped away from wrestling, and I wasn't really sure where I was going and what I was doing, and but that show and that night kind of brought me back into the loop, and it's really where I started to pick back up and kind of take off. So yeah, that was a really big deal for me. And of course, working with Cody was an awesome experience, and they brought me in first night I was there, and I get there and they're like, hey, you're wrestling Cody for the title, and I'm like, whoa, what? So it was a big moment and a kind of an eye-opening moment, because here's a guy who comes second generation star. He looked like he presented himself like a wrestler, and it was one of those moments for me where I was like, hey, that's the kind of guy I want to be.
Yeah, and obviously we've got to mention as well, when you lost the title, you lost it to Luke Gallows. I mean, we've had Gallows on before, and he's such a funny guy. It was a laugh a minute. I mean, what was it like working with Luke?
And he, over the years, Gallows, I would consider Gallows a friend. He's offered me a lot of advice and a lot of help throughout the years. Even when my deal with MLW kind of come up, I went to him for advice. So he's been in my corner for, from day one since we met. Jokingly, he tells me I look like his little brother, and I actually do.
I can see that, dude. I was thinking that as soon as we started the call, I was like, it's got a bit of a look of Doc Gallows.
Yeah, I guess it's a Georgia thing, man. You're either a little guy or you grow to be, 6'10" and you're bald and you got a beard.
No in between, yeah.
No in between, yeah.
Well, but, at least we can say, you're the better looking then, younger brother. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
There you go. I agree, and I'm bigger than him. Just FYI.
Oh well, there we go then. There we go. You've got it all. But is it, guys? Well, we've had a lot of people say that he's got a great mind for the business as well. So I mean, it must be someone whose brain you've been able to pick.
Yeah, no, I've been able to train under him. Up at Lariato Pro Wrestling Guild, the school that he was running. Man, I learned so much there. I was able to train with Austin Theory for almost a year, and train with Austin, and we did shows together. And so that was a great experience. Obviously, you see where he is now and how well he's doing at such a young age.
Yeah.
But he's got such a great mind for it. Gallows has such a great mind for it. And, when you surround yourself with people who have a mind for what you're trying to do and they're successful, then, obviously you become successful. And that proof has shown itself.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, last time I saw Austin Theory, I'm a little bit behind. He was getting kidnapped. So, I mean, I've got some catching up to do.
Listen, I actually put out a tweet. I don't know if you guys watch AEW and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but, even MLW. There's a lot of kidnapping going on in wrestling right now.
Yeah, man. I've always thought this.
We need an Amber Alert. I don't know if you guys know what an Amber Alert is, but
I saw that. I did see that. Yes, I did.
For some reason, in the wrestling world, like things you'd usually get arrested for, like kidnapping, murder, it just doesn't apply in wrestling. Like, it's like
only if you use a chair you get disqualified, but you can kidnap or shoot somebody.
Yeah, that's fine. You can kidnap, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But using a chair, you will get disqualified.
That's right.
I love it, man. I do. Yeah, I did see that tweet. It cracked me up. I thought that was great because it's true. It's true. I mean, he wasn't just kidnapped. I mean, he was chloroformed. As well.
This is why we love wrestling, though, right? Because it's so stupid at times. You can't help but love it. That's why we all watch it.
I tell people who aren't in this world and, friends and family, it's a culture. You're either in it or you're not. And it's fine if you're not, because it's like anything. It's not for everybody, and it's not ever going to be for everybody. But if you ever get in it, it's just so hard to get out of it. Even when you're not happy with what you're seeing, you still watch it anyway because you just love it.
I think there's a beauty when you find someone who doesn't like wrestling, but you show them a certain thing and then they enjoy it and they appreciate it and they become a fan. And it's like, yeah, I told you, there really is something for everybody in pro wrestling, don't you think?
Yeah, no doubt. And I enjoy showing, my stuff to people who don't like it for the simple fact of they have a different way of looking at it than your average fan or another wrestler. And so to me, that's just more information for me to get better, because if there's something that a non-wrestling fan enjoys about a match or a segment, then you probably hit something that could possibly draw in new fans, So it's all important to me to get every visual aspect I can from it, from inside the business, outside the business, people who've never even heard of wrestling or could care less. I want to know what they think.
Really, that's the ultimate goal, really. If you can make that person who is flicking a channel, for example, and they'll land on your match, and you can make them stay on that channel, like you said, you can make a new fan right there. They're the hardest fans to convert. We're going to watch you anyway. We watch all the wrestling that exists, we're nerds, so we'll watch it anyway. But if you can make that one person watch, then that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And to me, that is the goal. I'm super happy for the fans I have, and they watch and they support, but they're going to watch even when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I want to find some new people who are going to watch younger guys when I'm gone, and get them involved in it. So I think that's the goal, is to bring new eyes on it. And because if they like you, they're going to find something else they like too.
Yeah.
Who was it for you that got you into it then? Speaking of like people flicking the channel and finding you and watching your matches, who was it who you first saw when you were flicking the channel and landed on wrestling?
You know, as a kid, the first wrestler that I really fell in love with was Sting. That was the guy that you know made me watch it. And you know, I've told the story before on podcasts. You know, I don't ever remember wrestling not being on at home. You know, even from a small child, like it was just something that as a whole family we did. And my grandfather had the actual only satellite dish kind of in the town where they lived, and so it was almost like a party. The entire community would come over and watch it, and so I can remember them watching these pay-per-views and stuff, and just losing their mind, standing screaming, throwing stuff at the television, like, you know, they believed it, and you know, up until some of them passed away, they believed it, you know, up until I had started wrestling. You know, they would come to the show and they would lose their mind if I, you know, during a match, because now that not only do they believe it, but it's somebody they know. And man, it was so cool to see, because you know, you don't get that as often anymore.
No, dude, that's so true. Speaking of, like, I always find something cool about like when elderly people still believe wrestling's real. Like, I did it for a few years, and like I've said many times before on the show, I wasn't a very good wrestler, but I still gave it a go. And one of my matches, my granddad came, and he was 87, and he was watching me get my ass kicked, and he actually tried to attack someone with his walking stick. And that memory is one of my favorite memories, because my granddad really believed it was real. And like you said, you know, that's what you want as well. You want people to believe it's real. I wish, you know, I didn't know all the insider stuff. I wish I still was in that state of mind too, because you know, we'd all enjoy wrestling a lot more, I reckon.
Right. No, it's funny you tell that story of your grandfather. So it was either my first or second year in the business. My dad and my grandfather came to a show. Same scenario. I was getting my ass kicked on the outside of the ring by 3 guys.
Yeah.
And, my dad, I didn't see it happen. My dad tells the story. He was just sitting there kind of caught up in the moment watching it, and you know, he got it and he knew what was going on. Well, he said he turned and looked, and my grandfather had disappeared, and he had went down the aisle, come around the barricade, and was walking really slowly towards the group with his hand in his pocket. Now, my grandfather always carried a pocket knife, always. That was just southern. That's a southern thing. You know, if you got your pants on, you got your pocket knife. That was rule of. So my dad knew that he was fixing to pull out his pocket knife and start stabbing me. He jumped the barricade, stopped. Everybody completely forgot that I was getting my ass kicked. Now they took the show over, my dad and my grandpa. My grandpa's trying to fight my dad to get to them and calling him a pussy for not helping his son. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
One of the first big memories I have of doing it. I couldn't tell you about my first match or the first 2 years, but that story, man, because he was pissed off. You know, he didn't like it, and he still believed it.
I love that story, man. Your granddad was ready to stab somebody for his grandson. You know, he was gonna look after you. So.
I love it, man.
After he got to the point he couldn't come to shows, you know, he would watch them. You know, I would show him stuff, and he couldn't watch. He would, if I was getting beat, man, he was pissed off. He did not like it. So.
Oh man, that's one of the best stories I think I've ever heard. That's priceless, dude.
That's the reaction you want, dude. That's what you want.
That's it. But moving on as well, though, dude. Obviously, MLW. We're massive fans. We're very fortunate. We get it here in the UK on a Monday evening. We get an hour on a Mondays here. It's so much fun to watch. How has it been for you? How did MLW come about for you?
You know, I come in at such a ideal time, and you know, I didn't really know what I was walking into. You know, when I first got there, obviously, you know, I came in and I was with the Dynasty, and quickly they transitioned me out of that, and then you know, the pandemic happened and COVID happened and everything shut down. So I think in a lot of ways it kind of put some things on the back burner, and then it kind of gave them a chance to reassess and make some new decisions. And obviously, if you guys been keeping up, you see that I went a totally different direction in gimmick and character. And Mads is such a huge opportunity for me to paint a new picture. And I love it. And obviously, it's getting a lot of attention and it's being used in a really big way. So yeah, and the thing is this character is going to continue to transform and grow out of even what it is now. And so I think that is going to be really fun to watch. I'm excited about it. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to, even though we all know behind the scenes, there's certain things that we still keep close to heart. But I will. It's going to grow. It's going to become even bigger and better. And I'm excited, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
We can't wait. Like I said, MLW is one of my favourite shows to watch. I say we're very fortunate we get it over here, but obviously, speaking of MLW, I've got to ask as well, I mean, what's it like being able to work with Court Bauer? Because we've had a few people on before said, it's great working with Court. What's your take?
No, it's like I said, man, he, when the pandemic happened, it wasn't just he was available to me, like I could reach out to him. He was reaching out to me. And there was never a moment where I didn't know what was coming or what was going to happen. Yeah, he was right there, every week, not just a message, like a phone call. It mattered to him to keep us in the loop of what was going on. And I think, in other companies, that's not always the case. You may not know what's happening. You may not know what's going on, but I love his creativity. He's got a mind for business. He's got an old school mind for wrestling as well. He likes the story. He likes to tell story. And I love that. I think that's what wrestling is. I think we miss that a lot of times now in the modern product. We don't get those build up stories. You almost feel like most stories last 1 week, maybe two, and then it's over. And to me, that's not enough time to sink your teeth into anything. But, the world moves at a faster pace now. So maybe I'm just stuck in an old school mentality too. But to me, the stuff that you remember the most was stories that lasted over months at a time, even years at a time, and that build up. And he sees that. And that's the way he likes to produce the show. And he doesn't worry about how people feel about it. People get mad. Oh, why isn't this happening now? Well, because just wait, like be patient, keep watching, and they're not going anywhere. They'll take it.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love. I love the long-term storytelling. Like, I always go back to Hogan Savage, the Mega Powers exploding. A year-long story so perfectly done. And, that's what I love. And MLW do that so well. It is a pleasure to watch. But without giving much away, like we said, I've got to mention, obviously, you hear all these people talking about, like, the factions and wrestling Undisputed Era and all that, but I feel like the Contra Unit are slept on. I mean, they are so badass. Yeah.
Everything about them is amazing. The production and everything is next level.
No, it really is. And I agree with you. I think it's a faction that deserves so much more attention than it's gotten. And at the same time, it's still a young faction.
Yeah.
And it has the opportunity to grow into something more. And I think it will. I think as time progresses, it's going to get bigger and get more attention. But you're right. I love everything about it. Couldn't be happier to be a part of it.
I've been saying it for so long. I think they're one of the best factions in pro wrestling.
Honestly, we made a bucket list at the start of this year, and the whole of Contra was on it. So yeah, that's how excited we were for this one. Like I said, without giving too much away, This is a really cool interview for us because we're big fans of MLW. Like, I really do think it is one of the best hours on wrestling, in wrestling right now. And I do feel like MLW as a whole has been slept on previously. I don't think it is as much now. I feel like this year alone, they're really starting to say, hey, look, we're as good as everybody else is. We're as good as like an AEW, a WWE. And I feel like the product they're putting on is probably one of the most polished hours of wrestling on TV right now. So do you feel like MLW is really starting to get some new eyes on the product?
I do. And like I said, when things start opening back up and we got fans back in the arenas and we're able to really travel and get out again, I think you're going to see that, because like you said, it is an hour of TV, but in that hour, any wrestling fan, when I say any wrestling fan, I mean if you just like the spot matches, or if you like comedy, or if you like the old school wrestling, or you like story, there's something for everybody in that hour. In that hour, you get a great wrestling match, with all the hot spots, and you're gonna get the story, and then you get some luchadors, and then you get some, you get it all. You get all of it in an hour's time. And so there's really nothing that isn't there for any wrestling fan to kind of sink their teeth into and say, man, I like this. I like this guy. It's just now getting it back out there again. And so people can, once people are back in the arena, I think it'll take that next step forward, because we were already there. We were on the brink of it right before the pandemic happened. And it didn't lose any ground. They really took that time to take steps forward and where it was going to be seen and how they were going to produce it. And so now it's on more, you can watch it on more places than you ever could before, DAZN and beIN Sports and YouTube, the list goes on. And so they didn't take a step back. Nobody took a back seat. They just figured out ways to get that product out there even more when the time comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we mentioned the Dynasty, and I know you think I'm going to ask you about MJF, but I'm going to ask you what it was actually like working with Hammerstone, because he's a guy that seems to be making a big name for himself as well at the moment.
Hammerstone is not even just a wrestler, but a mind for the business. He's young too, so like you got to take that into consideration. He presents himself like a veteran wrestler, and even in the locker room as a leader. His career has only just begun. We haven't even saw the tip of the iceberg when it comes to him, man. And working with him and gonna continue to work with him in the future, I'm excited because I know what we're gonna be able to do together. I think it's gonna make some of the best matches that I've had to date. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait.
I mean, I've got to say, I mean, that National Openweight title would look very nice over your shoulder.
Oh, absolutely. Now we're gonna go there. Yeah, I didn't say I want to lose to him. I just said I want to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a hoss fight right there. I know you've had matches in the past, but Alexander Hammerstone, he's a big dude, but so are you. You're 6'8"?
Yeah, 6'9". And that's Hammerstone, man. He's not a small guy. It's video. Sometimes people say, I'm trying to think of the wording, but video doesn't do him justice. You see him and you're like, oh, that's a big guy. No, that's a big guy. You see him in person and it's like, whoa. He's not. He's 6'4", 6'5", and every bit of 250 pounds whenever he wants to be, because he just kind of decides how much he's going to weigh on any given day. But he's a machine, man. He lives for this business, and that's the kind of people I love, because I live for this business.
Yeah.
So he eats, sleeps, and lives this business every single day of his life.
I didn't realize he was 6'4", 6'5", like you said. You don't realize that on the TV. That's surprised me. Yeah.
When you see him standing next to me, that's when you realize, like, whoa, this dude isn't that. That's a big dude. Yeah,
because 6'5", if that guy was walking down the street to a 5'10" guy like me, he'd seem like an absolute giant, So to be fair, I can't imagine what it'd be like standing next to you. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in real life who's 6'9". So
I don't give myself credit so many times. I guess when you're this big, you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
And I go back and I watch matches, or if I've got an opponent coming up, and I like to watch, and kind of watch their matches and see who I'm going to be working with. I'll see him and I'm like, man, that's a big dude. And then I get there, and this is no knock. It's just, I was like, well, shit, I thought he was way bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so I just don't give myself credit for how big I am.
You don't realize you keep saying that you're a giant yourself.
You're just that big. Like, you're not, it's not that he's small. You're just a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'll be honest, I'm only 5'6", so I'd love to stand next to you. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, I've got a picture I met at the Big Show a few years ago. And I got to his hip. I'm literally about his hip level. It's just ridiculous.
He could have actually leaned on your head, couldn't he? Like...
He could have done, yeah. He could have done. But yeah, dude, I mean, there's someone else I know you worked with in MLW who I'm a huge fan of, and I think it's a guy who's so underrated in the business. You got to team with Savio Vega. What was it like working with Savio? Because I love Savio Vega.
Mm.
That was one of those things where, and yeah, I didn't tell him, at the moment, but I go back to watching wrestling growing up, and here's a guy who I watched, growing up, and now here I am standing, not just in a locker room with him, but I'm fixing to go out to the ring with him and work with him. And it was one of those moments, that you just really never forget, and it makes you realize that all the work you had put in had paid off. And it was special. It was one of those special moments where, like I said, here's a guy that I watched growing up that made me want to do this, and now here I am, and I'm going to be in the ring with him.
Yeah, he's a great mind. I mean, did you get to pick his brain as well? I mean, like I said, he's a very underrated guy.
Salvio is, he's an agent for MLW as well.
Right.
So not only do I get to work with him, but here's a guy who comes to me with ideas.
Yeah.
Who's helping me in my own career now, become a better professional wrestler. And that in itself is priceless. You can't pay for that. There's no price tag to put on that, because I'm getting information and experience from the best, and his mind for the business, like so many others, is just phenomenal. And he's given me so many ideas with this new direction, and and you're seeing it play out on screen. So everything that you're seeing there is the character is being built on, not just for myself, but guys like Savio and guys like Loki, who are right there beside me to help me along the way.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw Savio myself, I mean, I think he was Quang, wasn't he? In about '94 in WWF, and then obviously he came back in '95 as Savio Vega, and I was always just a huge fan. I remember, I think he was at King of the Ring '95. Didn't he take Razor's place? I think, or
yeah, something like
that.
Yeah,
and I just became a huge fan then, and I've always been ever since. I think the guy's so good.
Yeah, a great person to have at MLW by the sounds of it. Like, as an agent, he's one of those people that, like you said, just a great mind for the business. And I feel like that's what you need at somewhere like MLW. Even though MLW's got good history, it's still an upcoming promotion in a lot of ways. And I feel like Savio seems like a great guy to have on board.
No, absolutely. And behind the scenes, there's so many veterans there that, like I said, they're helping everybody and making sure because some of us young guys, we're coming into it. This is the first time we've been on TV. This is our first experience.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're going through a NXT developmental and we're not training for months and months to get ready for TV.
Yeah.
Show up in that first night, you're going out and you're on TV, and you got, you know what I mean. So they're there to make sure what's going on and where to be and what to do, and that's. You can't put a price tag on that because and not only are they there, but they're so willing to help and so willing. If you'll just listen, they'll give you everything you need.
Yeah. Also, we touched on it earlier about the pandemic as well. It does interest me. I mean, how do you find wrestling without an audience? I mean, do you have to adapt and approach your match differently, or do you just go about it the same way?
So I had to go back to like wrestling on the trampoline and just pretend that there was a crowd in my head. So I was chanting for myself in my head. But no, I mean, because that's you put so much on the crowd. I think as a worker, you look for certain cues from the crowd, and you don't realize until they're not there how important that is to what you're doing. They're just as much a part of the show as we are.
Yeah.
And without them, it's different. You have to. Everything feels different. I'm so ready to have them back. And like I said, it's these shows now they're popping back up. It's so much fun just because there's people there, and there's a crowd there to feed off of again. And you don't realize it. And I'm sure the guys in the WWE and AEW, like they're all ready for crowds to be back because they feed off of that energy too, whether they admit it or not. They know that it's their part of it, and they need that.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the crowd reactions. Example, Dynamite a few weeks ago. I said to Callan when Kenta turned up, could you imagine if there was a crowd in that building?
It'd have blown the non-roof off of them.
Yeah, exactly.
It would.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like I said, we've not had a show over here since March last year, and we're chomping at the bit, man. And I know we'll get it. We're already planning our flights to America next year as well to come and see all the shows over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and like you said, man, when you look at the relationships that are emerging, even during this time, the AEW, New Japan, TNA, it's a crazy time in the business, and when it does open back up, I think it's just going to be another explosion period.
We've already said we want MLW to be part of that, man. Like if all the companies are working together, we want MLW involved.
Yeah. No, I would love that, but that's not my call. So
no, man, definitely not. But
I mean, and it's only it's for the betterment of wrestling, like you say. Imagine that you've got Impact, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor work with New Japan. So I mean, a Ring of Honor going to pop up at some point. Like Callum said, right. MLW. I mean, I'd love to see the Contra Unit turn up on Dynamite one week and just lay waste to everybody. I mean,
this is where we're typical fans and we just start fantasy booking promotion invasion angles, because that's all wrestling fans do is book invasion angles. But it'd be so much fun, and you're right, it is exciting.
And the invasion angle, if you go back to the original one with WWE and WCW, it didn't really do what they wanted to do. So that angle's still there as a real option.
Absolutely, yeah.
It didn't do what it could have done back then, and for obvious reasons. But yeah, no, you've got potential now. You could do all kind of stuff. So it's gonna be fun, man. It's a fun time. Wrestling goes through ups and downs like anything, and I think it went through that down period, and it didn't really get low. People haven't completely lost interest in it, despite what you read on the internet. I think fans are just hungry for it to come back. They're just frustrated, and that's understandable because they want to get back in the arena just as bad as we want them back in the arena.
Yeah, so true.
Dude, literally, all we do is we spend all night on YouTube watching matches from the indies. We take a break in between that and watch Danhausen videos, and then we go back to indie matches. It's just we're missing it as well, man. We can't wait to be able to get back to an arena.
Oh yeah. Do you guys watch IWTV?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I love a lot of the shows that I'm doing now in the area. Action Wrestling, Southern Honor Wrestling, and New South. They have a Hoss tournament coming up on March 5th and 6th. That'll definitely be one. I'll be a part of that. So definitely check that out when it comes. I'm plugging everybody right now, by the way, so I'm getting that knocked out.
That's it, man.
We'll be watching that.
Action, Action Wrestling's a great show. Every show is a great card. The matches are excellent. Southern Honor, they've got the storytelling. So if you enjoy the storytelling, man, Southern Honor is a great one to watch. And then New South, like I said, they're producing, I think, a weekly show now on IWTV.
Right. Oh, we'll definitely check it out, man. Yeah. We both subscribe. We pay our monthly subs, man. We watch it. We love it, man. We can't get enough, honestly.
It really is nothing
else. I pay for my membership for it too, so I can watch myself. So I mean, that's
good, man.
That's not conceited at all, is it?
Not at all, man. Well, look, though, before we start to wrap up, obviously, I know you're getting to a show. We have to ask you this. You did work with MJF. What's he like? Because in our heads, he's a real life dick. So I mean, what was it like?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, the best guys are the ones who don't change on and off camera.
Yeah.
So he is exactly who he is. He's the same person when the camera's off as he is when it's on.
Love it. That's what I wanted to hear.
I love him to death. He's, I don't have to tell you how amazing he is. He knows he is. And that's not a cocky thing. That's not an ego thing. If you're going to be great in this business, you've got to know how good you are. And that's just the way it is. And so I've met guys like him before, and every one of them are successful. and becoming successful in this business. And so that's he knows exactly who he is. He knows what he wants. And he knows who he's going to be. And we see that.
So and obviously yourself, I know you're not giving much away, but what does 2021 hold for you, man? What's the plans?
I'm just going to keep rolling. Like I said, everything's kind of picking back up. I've got some big opportunities, I think, coming up. I'm hoping that MLW is going to get back rolling with the live crowds, and we're going to continue filming, and obviously we're going to continue pushing forward with Contra and the angle we've got going there. So yeah, man, I'm back. I'm on the grind. I don't try to plan too far ahead. I try to just take it day by day and make sure that I'm getting accomplished what I need to get accomplished with myself and doing my best work. And I let the rest fall into place because it does.
Hell yeah, man. Well, like I said, we're along for the journey, dude. The Contra Unit, I've said this, to me, that the best two factions in wrestling at the minute are the Righteous and Ring of Honor and the Contra Unit in MLW. Just everything that you guys do, I'm hooked on. So keep doing that, dude. But before you go, here's your chance to plug your shows again. Tell them where they can find your social media, plug your upcoming shows, any merchandise.
Follow me at the Logan Creed on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Pro Wrestling Tees is at the Heathen Logan Creed. I've got some T-shirts on there as well as MLWshop.com. Upcoming shows: I'm in Hanahan, South Carolina tonight, and Charleston, South Carolina for OSCW. Then next weekend, next Saturday night, doing an Impact Live Plus taping with Doc Gallows, Luke Gallows, with Lariata Pro Wrestling Guild. Sunday in Macon, Georgia, and then we're coming back after that. I'll be back at Southern Honor Wrestling the following Friday, New South Pro Wrestling Saturday, and then Action Wrestling the Friday after that. All of that can be watched on IWTV, so check it out. And I'm going to tell you, I am going to give you a piece because I enjoyed you guys and I appreciate you guys. I'm going to send you a little teaser for the future of Mads.
Awesome.
Hell yes.
The listeners won't get to see it, but you're going to get to see it and just give you a little taste of what's coming.
Oh, I'm excited.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. And dude, please, we'd love to bring you back on at some point if you'd be cool with that, man.
Oh, man, absolutely, guys. I enjoyed it. Like I said, next time maybe I can be stationary. It won't be bouncing a phone around while I'm driving.
Excellent, dude. Well, we'll stay in touch. We'll let you know when this goes out and we'll get you back, dude. But for now, enjoy your show. Take care, man. Logan Creed, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.